Hey, welcome back. I am Ramona, and in this video, we're going to be talking about, well, the topic was, what does Buddhism teach on the occult, and is there a Buddhist equivalent to the Christian's demons? Something that, I find fascinating. Religion, paranormal, I love it when it intermingles and stuff. So here's the question, and then we'll read some of the responses. Ready? I grew up in a Christian household. When I was growing up, my father used to tell me stories about his experience with the occult when he was in his teenage years. His experiences started after he started using a Ouija board with his friends at a place where he worked. After he had done that, he stated having strange experiences in his workplace, objects being out of place and hearing noises he couldn't explain. His friends had the same experiences. It got to a point where he started to have these experiences at home. He would hear footsteps and doors slamming and nobody was around to make these noises. He started having incredibly violent and vivid dreams. Hearing these stories while I was young definitely influenced me and kept me away from occult practices, something that was pretty common among daring elementary and middle school kids in my area. From a Christian perspective, the things my dad went through was considered a typical demonic attack. I was taught that if God was with me, that the demons wouldn't be able to harm me and that they would want to avoid me. They would also not attempt to seek out communications with the demon, as this was considered an invitation to attack. Now, whether or not there is any validity to the existence of spirits or demons, the effects and occult practices have on people is very clear, and I would say well documented as well. I'm curious to know if Buddhism has any teachings on this subject. Does it also teach to avoid occult practices? If so, why and how? So the first reply is, our views of things like demons and ghosts and spirits are quite different from the typical Western view. In Buddhism, we believe in rebirth, and it is believed that some of the realms one could be born into a ghost realm. Beings who live a life of attachment to something or someone may be reborn as a ghost after death. Buddhists believe in haunting and possession as a ghost who is suffering from attachment to a person or a place. As for occult practices like Ouija, we would advocate against it. The reason why is because if these things are actually capable of making contact with a ghost or disturbing it, then we are only causing it to suffer more, which would be immoral from our perspective. You also have to think about the possibility that maybe your father was paranoid after his experience with the Ouija board, and the things he was experiencing may have been all in his mind. That's a possibility as well. And the reply was, at this point in my life, I assumed psychological factors first before I consider anything to be in the realm of the supernatural unexplained, as a lot of stories like these can be explained through psychoanalysis. Thank you for your response. I was unaware of the concept of a ghost realm. The Christians depict these spirits as malevolent in nature, wanting to cause harm and deceive if they were allowed the opportunity, something that should be avoided to protect yourself. While Buddhist, it is something that is continuing to hold on to the world, and it affects the living when it is disturbed. In this case, avoidance is out of empathy rather than fear of one's own safety. From what you explained, the Buddhist concept of haunting seems to also line up with a typical Western belief in ghosts, as in people who have died and can't move on to the other side because they have an attachment to this world. Curious. I wonder if this is where the West got its concept of ghosts, because I know the idea didn't come up from the Bible. I watch a lot of ghost hunting shows on television, and this is normally the description they use when describing a ghost that is haunting an area, though they also make the distinction between a ghost and a demon. A ghost being a person that is attached to the world and can't escape, and a demon is a force of evil, something they try to avoid. The next reply is, which is a good way to go about things? I always ask, is this plausible, or is there a mundane explanation before I assume it's paranormal? Another thing a lot of Christians I know, and I was raised a Christian, who believe in ghosts cannot really explain why ghosts exist. I'm pretty sure there is some mention of ghosts in the Bible, but it doesn't make much sense from a Judeo-Christian point of view, where you either go to heaven or hell when you die. In Buddhism, there is a clear explanation as to why ghosts exist and even how they function. I wish more paranormal investigators would look at the Buddhist explanation of hauntings, because I think they'd find it quite interesting. And the last reply on this one was, my family's explanation for ghosts are just demons masquerading as people for reasons they aren't really sure about. Explanation goes that pretending to be a person is just a way of gaining trust with living persons, or making the living perspective the demon as a harmless presence, when its true intentions are to cause harm and or to manipulate. I'm not sure if this explanation comes from some source in the Bible or is just our own headcanon. Me and my dad used to watch a lot of TV shows that recreated people's experiences with a haunting, and I think that it was just a common trend that we put together after seeing so many different stories. They would usually follow a similar pattern of a ghost presenting itself as a child or a harmless visitor in the home, but as time went on, the ghost's action and influence on the family would become more negative and aggressive, until the family was finally forced to either leave the home or call a priest or some sort to cleanse the house. So the next story goes like this. Just using the word occult is a little vague, but I think I see what you're getting at. Buddhism takes for granted that there are other realms typically imperceivable by most humans. There's the human realm, the animal realm, the hungry ghost realm, the hell realm, the desire god realm, and the formless god realm. I'm actually not sure what class of beings Christians would perceive as demons, because Buddhism doesn't teach that there are hell attendants of pure evil that terrorize humans. In the hell realms, the suffering is severe, but the product of the being's only mind. There is no actual subject, demon, absence of God, to torture an object, a damned soul. Also, suffering in the hell realms isn't considered eternal or completely unable to be overcome. Anywho, more than likely, hell beings, hungry ghosts, or asuras from the desire god realm, would be the most likely to engage in activity Christians would see as demonic, mainly being a bother. These realms each have their own sufferings. Hell beings experience extreme temperatures and mortification, and the hungry ghosts perceive suffering as extreme hunger or thirst, while the desire gods exist in great wealth but also in strife and craving. Again, no being represents absolute evil, but just like in this realm, it's a mixed bag. Some are more flawed than others. Some are vindictive. Some have the merit to be taken revenge on the 3 jewels and generated Badhiksita? I'm pronouncing that wrong. I'm so sorry. But can be considered, oh my God, Bodhisattvas. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Christianity and Buddhism differ in the antidote to this. Where in Christianity demons are thought to be repelled by an external force, it is ideal in Buddhism to pacify others through compassion. The ways in which they suffer lead to lashing out at others, so the lashing out may be eliminated by gifting them with dharma. Dedication of merit is the simplest way. I've read about this practice in which a water offering is dedicated to any suffering beings as pure nectar for the liberation from the current realm and ultimately all realms. This is all done with an aspiration to benefit them, not banish them. You don't really have to seek anything out. If there is karmatic connection, events will unfold whether you perceive them or not. But staying compassionate towards them and keeping an aspiration towards their liberation migrates things. Someone replies that is very interesting. That is not something I can really explain in my question very well, but I was curious. If Buddhism does have a similar concept to demons, what exactly are you supposed to do about if one gets involved in your life? And I think you explained that. Empathy and compassion. Thank you. This is some food for thought. Pretty good explanation. Next reply was, demons exist, but they're not evil. They're more like bored teenagers who want to be little punks and disturb you. They can only really affect the mind, so mindfulness is a good guard against them. Chanting sutras, offering compassion and soothing their suffering are also effective methods. They mess with you because of delusion. They are mostly harmless. There are mantras of protection against these malevolent spirits, and most of the time something like "leave me alone" suffices. Oddly enough, bored teenagers is something I've sort of thought about as demons before. Their actions seem to be motivated by getting a laugh or easing some boredom. It's just like a game for them. The Buddhist cosmology is filled with non-human beings. They rarely have anything to do with the human realm. They are various spirits, ghosts, yakas, gandhabas, devas, and more. They rarely interfere with the human realm. In the Theravada tradition, monks and nuns are forbidden from practicing geomancy, astrology, phenology, and the other dark arts. They are also forbidden from revealing any supernatural abilities they may have attained to the non-ordained. What if I told you that singing Christian hymns was highly dangerous because someone I knew who did that had their brains eaten by spiders? Occult just means hidden. The idea being that there are hidden truths out there. Esoteric, inside the circle, has a similar meaning. These terms tend to be applied to a variety of alternate Western traditions like astrology or seances, which mainstream culture tends to reject, and certain strains of U.S. and evangelical Protestantism regards as demonic. This is actually a fairly recent 19th century notion. Astrology was once mainstream, for example. Anyway, many critics of occultism find it natural to group Eastern religions in there with it, after all. They are alternative to secular science as well as Christianity, and include their own traditions of things like astrology and spirit propagation. Whether any of these things work, and if so, whether resorting to them as evil is very much a matter of religious opinion. Yeah, I think that's also very, very true. It depends on your own worldview, your own thoughts of the matter. Yeah, but it's interesting to find out more about this. I do enjoy it, and I hope you all are enjoying this as well. Hope you're enjoying these videos, and please go check out another one. I wouldn't mind that at all. Find something on this channel you like. Please like, share, subscribe, comment, do all the things. If you don't want to, that's cool too. But thanks for listening. We'll talk to you later. Bye.